Wild Tennessee soul artist. Welcome to the show, Kendall.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you.
I'm
Just
your
want
host,
to
Kevin.
focus on I'm your co-host Brian, and I just want to focus on this hat right here. This hat is dope, and it's
It's a great
from
hat.
our buddies at metalheadoutdoorsapparel.com.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely appreciate you joining us today, Kendall. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into music, and how did you pick this particular genre?
Yeah. Well, I'm from a little town outside of Memphis, Tennessee called Bolivar. And there's probably like four stoplights in that town. Just such a small town. And my family, we were the church band that I
Mm.
grew up in. My
Oh
dad led
wow.
worship. Yep. My mom, she played keys. And my brother played drums, although he wouldn't say that he actually did, but he technically did for a stint and was playing in our church band. And yeah, music was always in my life. And it was always this humble, very humble start to it. And it wasn't like it wasn't about ego or like, look at me, or
Right.
it was mainly
Right.
about just like, you know, this is for the Lord and this is why we do this. And bringing people together. And so that's where I got my start, just me and my family in my grandfather's church doing our
Mhm.
thing, and then we would also travel to other churches around the region. And technically, I guess that's called evangelizing. So we were evangelists for the Lord.
Very
And
cool. Very cool.
yeah, and so that being in church definitely is a huge part of my musical upbringing for sure.
Yeah, I know the church is a starting point for a lot of musicians. You know, Mary J. Blige, like countless, big
Yeah,
musicians.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you actually
yeah.
learn how to, play instruments and sing from the church, like singing gospel, or was that something you kind of picked up, like on your own?
Well, I really just sang. I harmonized with my dad mostly in the beginning, and then I would sing to tracks. So you would go to this place called in Tennessee, I don't know if it's everywhere, but it was called Lifeway Christian Bookstore. And
Mm.
you would essentially go and you would have these CDs with the songs that you want to sing. So like for instance, like Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord. Like that was what like a gospel song that we used to sing. And you could go in and you could find the CD, and on the CD it would have an instrumental track with all these different keys that you could pick
Oh
from.
wow.
And then it also had sort of like someone doing like a demo vocal along with it. And so I never actually learned how to play an instrument for a long, long time. I didn't really pick up a guitar until I really can't even consider myself a, a guitar player or anything. um, I just started really being able to play an acoustic guitar like this year,
Wow.
which is kind of crazy. So it was always just singing for me, really. But
That's
yeah,
cool though. That's cool.
yeah. I mean, I
Mm.
I do think that because I didn't pick up an instrument for a long time, it really made me focus on my voice as the instrument.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause
especially being
that's the thing, like, the voice is an instrument. Maybe
it
we
is,
don't always think about it as an instrument, but, I kinda recall someone like Amy Winehouse talking about, like, she listened
yeah.
to jazz artists like Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane, and
Hmm.
she would take the melodies and the rhythm and apply it to her voice, kinda like Sarah Vaughan. So
Yeah. Oh my
it's
God.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you really can treat the voice like an instrument. It's especially if like for a while, me and my husband, Adam Gowdy, who's an incredible songwriter and who has been my main collaborator that I've worked with for years. But especially when it's just me and him, like him on an acoustic and then I'm the vocalist, there's some really cool interplay there that we've developed over the years. Mainly because it's like, well, you're holding it down. I'm the I'm the soloist, and then I also get to sort of, play with scatting, and and I don't consider myself a jazz singer by no means, because that's like respect in that regard. I'm like, I wouldn't claim that,
Sarah
but
Vaughan, yeah, that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Ella
but
Fitzgerald,
oh my god, yeah, all those great women and men, but
Billie Holiday.
yeah, totally. Um, but yeah, I've been able to hone that craft of like, not just singing the lyrics and filling in the parts that are obvious, but then when it comes to, actually like branching off into being, more improvisational and just and not really having a net, just jumping and just knowing that I'll land on my 2 feet eventually, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like with our show, with our podcast, we kind of bring a jazz element to it because it's
Mm,
all improvisational. It's not like
yeah,
me and Kev are sitting here writing down 21 questions to hit someone up with. We're just
yeah,
coming like live. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Well, that's like life. That's really just
Yeah.
life. Jazz is life, man. Ball is life. No. But it really is. It is embracing that uncertainty and welcoming it, really.
So like how did you transition from singing in church to kind of doing your own thing? And did you face any pushback? Because I know a lot of times, when you're singing in church, they're like, they don't necessarily want you to jump into the secular world.
Yeah, that was a lot of that caused a lot of problems. Mainly with my father. My
Okay.
mom was just like following suit. I think, she was just like, no, I'm a good wife, and she also felt these things too. But when I met my when I met my husband, um, is this like here we go, like we're good. When I met my husband, before I I was still singing in church, and I really, I met this man with not the conscious decision to, like, save his soul, but I really had, like that had been ingrained in me from early on, is like, this is what you're here to do, is to bring people to God. And,
Okay.
I was so innocent and so just like, still heart of gold though. I mean, I love that girl. I love that girl so much. But when I met my now husband, then just like random person in my hometown, I was I just had no idea of what real music was. Like I knew who the Beatles were. I knew who Elvis Presley was, but there were so many, and then I loved my pop girls, like
There's a
your
lot of stuff
teenager.
in between, like Elvis and Adele, right?
Yeah. Like my dad loved 80s hair band music. My mom, I think she loved Bryan Adams, but like I didn't there was just all this musical history that I just had no idea about. And he showed me a lot of that gradually, like through the years. And then I also saw a lot of things with my own eyes and experienced a lot of things. And so my little like innocent self coming in and being like, I'm gonna save this boy's soul, then I actually became a person, and I became a human being and an adult. And you know I love my upbringing of the church, but sometimes church doesn't necessarily encourage, I don't think, deep like introspection of self. And so when I started to really ask questions of who am I, and like what is all this, and like wait a minute, there's this whole other path of music that I can go down that isn't even in the church.
Right.
Um I still carry that heart and that spirit with me, but when I started to really, not even by a conscious, it was not conscious, it was literally just life happening. But when I started to open myself up to other parts of life, I was also in college at the time at the University of Memphis, and
Oh, nice.
becoming again an adult and living freely for the the first time in my life. So, and and a lot of adults in my life had a lot of plans for me, and sort of under the guise of like, this is the Lord's plan for you. And I was like really in this pull, in this conflict of myself, of like, and I'm also the eldest daughter, and like I had a lot of people pleasing, that I had to unpack over the
Right.
overtime. And so I felt like I was really letting everybody down. I was letting myself down. I was letting
Oh,
God
wow.
down. I was like this whole, it really
That's like
was,
it's a heavy weight to carry.
yeah, it was. But, you know, I made some choices that, like, looking back, I'm really proud of myself for making, which is I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually pursue this as a career. Growing up, I didn't even know that music really was a career. I just was like, oh, it all just happens. Like songs just appear. They're just here. I don't know. I didn't know the equation, the formulas for how all this stuff works. And then when I started doing it with my husband, we, I really credit a lot of my becoming a woman. Um, and an artist, I a creative individual, a writer, a thinker. He helped me a lot with becoming who I am today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, although you're not creating gospel songs, you still incorporate elements of your faith into your music, or you kind of just keep that completely separate?
Yeah, it's interesting. I really consider what I do now to be my ministry, even though I'm not necessarily pointing to like, repentance for your sins. It's a completely different thing now for me. I know that, it becomes really like woo woo really quickly, but my purpose, what I feel like I'm here to do is to be a mirror to for people. Um and not like I'm losing myself in that. Really, I believe that I have a way of accessing my spirit and my soul
Right.
in a way that bears it to other people, for them to say, "Oh my God, I feel that too." It's sort of this feedback loop of love and light and encouragement and truth, which isn't always positive, but still is honest
Right.
at the end of the day. And that's what I feel like I'm here to do, is to give people that, and to give them a space and an awareness of this, that's like, oh wow, sort of like you've sort of been, your head's been down and you've been asleep for a while, then you all of a sudden you feel something in your spirit that's like, wait a minute, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's like we're alive, Um,
So
so
would you say it's like a very spiritual element to what you do? Or
yeah,
is that kind of separate?
no, it is very much a part of it. Again, I'm
Okay.
I've it's like you unpack things as you get older, and you I one equation that I heard some or one way that I've heard someone say this before is that, the life you were given is like this house. And the older you get, and as you get older, you start tearing down walls, and you start ripping up the carpet, and you start, changing the wallpaper. And sometimes that, there's some load bearing parts that you're like, okay, if I tear that down, this entire room is going to go away, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's necessary. And as I've gotten older, I've been doing that my whole life. And now I've built this house that feels right to me, and it feels good, and it still allows me to like relate to this thing that I have I don't know what this thing is, I don't know what the spirit what when we say when the spirit moves you, like,
Right. Like what
that
is that? Like
What is that?
ultimately, what is God moving through a person? What does that look
Yes.
like? What does that look
Yes.
like? Yeah.
Yep. And that could get real heady real quick, and I do enjoy those conversations, but I, you know, that's what I feel that I have is my gift, is being able to tap into that. And it sounds funny for me to say that, but I know when I feel it, and I know, excuse me, there's a fly in my ear. I know when I feel it, and I know when when like you have a good conversation with someone and you really feel like you are being seen and that you both are like, you know, and there's a presence there. There's something there, even if it's just your energies together, or when you share a good meal with someone, or like you hear a song that makes you go like, "Oh my god, everything's gonna be okay," or like, "Wow, that you said that in a way that just tapped into the truth that's of the human experience," like
Right.
that's what this has become for me, really.
So, like you kind of mentioned earlier that the process of creating the music, it doesn't just magically appear out of nowhere. So, like when you
Yeah.
first got started, what did it look like, and how did you eventually get to the point where you're like almost effortlessly crafting songs?
Yeah. Ooh, I would love to see an
It's a good
effortlessly
question,
crafted
Kev.
song. Yeah, no, that's a great question. Lord, I don't know if anyone has ever if songwriting sometimes is like it's a really difficult thing to navigate. It can
It
be.
is.
Um
Yeah, it is.
Emotionally, obviously. And the people that you collaborate with, it is like this relationship that you're having to, in real time be with. And especially for me, working with my husband a lot, like that has been, you want to talk about a mirror. That has literally been like, I mean, that's what relationships are, is they are mirrors. And we have worked through a lot of things in songwriting. And that has been really ugly sometimes. Like one of my favorite songs
That's
that isn't,
interesting.
yeah, my favorite song right now that isn't out, but that we have written together is called Like a Woman Again. And it's obviously like from this woman's perspective that's just like, I feel so, down and like I'm nobody, and I feel so lame. But you find me in that moment and you pick me up and you spin me around, and all that it takes is a touch of your hand to make me feel like a woman again. And it's about
Okay.
this relationship with this man that makes you feel like you were just that you're everything's going to be okay. And I'll tell you right now, when we wrote that song, everything was not okay. We were at such odds with one another, but we
Yeah.
wrote this song sort of to just, I don't know. And that's just an example of like sometimes the way you feel in a moment doesn't necessarily uh manifest itself in the song that you're writing.
Kind of like you want to feel a certain way, but you don't
Yes.
necessarily know how do I feel this way? Like
Yes.
I have it built up to, okay, I understand this X, Y, and Z,
Mhm.
but in your core, you don't necessarily know how to reach that point. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, and it's different every time, I mean, for me, I had never the first song I wrote was actually pretty good. I mean, I think just because of being around music my whole life and having someone like my husband who had been writing for years, um, and sort of, helping me find my voice over the years. It's been a journey, but at the end of the day, it sort of is just like you kind of need to just like get out of the way of yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Some people are like, writer's block is not real. And I don't know if I believe that necessarily, but what they mean is that, like, if you just, I don't know, if you just get out of the way the things that you're wanting to say and the melodies that are inside of you, and that again, that spirit thing, whatever that is there. It is always there.
Right. It's always there.
Yep.
So there's been this saying like, you shouldn't date people in your workplace, or when you're married, you don't want to work with your husband or whatever because y'all seeing each other all the time. So
Yeah.
like, how are you able to make that work? Because you just mentioned like you had like this difficult period, but you still have to make music together.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's such a crazy
that's a
question.
that's a tough one, right?
No, I mean, it's my life. It's our life. We live it every single day, and I kind of feel like we have this secret that no one knows about, because sometimes we'll have like, some pretty difficult moments before a performance, you know? And we have to figure that out in the moment, but it's sort of, in that way, sometimes it forces us to get out of that feeling, and then we do the performance and we come out on the other side and we're like, you know, hey, I love you. Everything's gonna be okay. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I say all the time, and I've told my husband this, like, would not recommend it. I would not recommend it because I think it takes an incredible amount of patience.
Yes.
Any relationship does, but especially if you are working with someone, the
It's
the
intense, right?
it's intense. It
It's
is very
intense.
intense, especially if it's a creative relationship.
Oh yeah.
Um, you know, you are denying yourself and sacrificing a lot. And it's not that you have to give up parts of yourself, because I don't think, I think there's some unhealthiness with that too, but it very much is like, this is for the grown folks. This is for people who really want to like have a meaningful relationship. And I don't think it's for everyone. But I do think that it's specific to the people in the relationship. I mean, if you both are like, this is the most important thing to me, at the end of the day, like all this could go away, but if we're good, then everything's good, you know?
Right. Right.
And just understanding that you're creatives are we're so like kooky and like temperamental, and we have strong feelings about things, and respecting that and finding a way to just find that balance. I mean, it's difficult, but it's also been one of the greatest things in my entire life, and I really mean that. Till
Yeah.
the day I
I
die, I'm
mean
like,
it.
I want a story. I want our story written, and maybe that's my job as a songwriter.
I mean,
To
it must feel good to have
It
that
does.
level of a connection with someone
Yeah.
that's close to you. I mean, because I've been playing music, I'm playing music since I was 14, and
Yeah.
every now and then you meet that one person, you're like, wow,
Mhm.
I connect with you. I see you. I can
Yeah.
see where you're going, and then we can kind of collab and vibe with that,
Yeah.
which truly to me is a magical thing. I would say it's
Yeah.
beyond it's beyond normal logic. It's you're getting to know this person
Yeah.
from a core level, and then you're playing with them and you're seeing where, like with drums, it's all about time, right?
Yes.
It's all
Yep.
about, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like we have to line up. But once
Yep.
you find that with a person, to me, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like I
No,
got
it
a
really
buddy I
is.
play with. I got a buddy I play with maybe every couple weeks, every couple months, and we get each other now.
Yeah.
It's been long enough to where he sees where I'm going,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful thing. That's all I could
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. And I think it also has to, it speaks to your vision for your life too. We're very much like we are very much aligned in the same goals. And essentially, I mean, he's his own songwriter, an artist in his own right.
Right.
And I still to this day say he's one of the best songwriters that I've ever worked with. But also, we have built this thing together with me. And we are like, I mean, his talents and my talents and our specific perspective and our focus, and then at the end, at the top of the triangle, our vision for where we want to go. It all speaks together, you know. And if we weren't aligned in that
Right.
way, it wouldn't work out. But luckily, it does.
100%. Yeah,
Yep.
100%.
So did you have that synergy from the get-go, or was that something like as y'all started making music together, just that predictive ability, that ability to meld together, did that kind of develop over time?
I definitely developed over time. In the beginning, I was such a like little pube of a little child. I mean, I was so naive and like so innocent. And, you know, I still have,
There's a certain realness to that though. You know,
there is.
being innocent, being vulnerable, you know,
Yeah.
these are things that like to me are
Yeah.
extremely important in music because if you could be vulnerable with your mate or you could be vulnerable with your guitarist or your bassist, they'll
Yeah.
see you kind of where you're coming from and they'll be able
Yeah.
to attach to that and connect with that.
Yeah.
Which to me is like mind blowing in some ways, where like you can connect with a person musically. You might not know that much about them,
Yeah.
but you could find that serious connection with them, which to me is beauty. You know, that's like
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel it immediately almost. I mean, sometimes relationships do take like time and energy and nurturing, but sometimes you really do fall into a really easy rhythm with people. And sometimes it takes longer to get that. And then sometimes there's people that are not meant for you, which is also totally okay. But um
100%. Yeah.
for
100%.
us, I again, I just was like, I think because I was so young and like my experience of life was so sheltered, I lived with this rose-colored glasses, like no defenses at all, was just so genuine. And not to say that I'm not genuine now, but I mean, I'm talking about there was no guard whatsoever. And
Right.
people, I think for my husband, his mother was like that. She was so honest, and so sweet, rest her soul. But I think he saw his mom in me,
Oh,
and
wow.
that really made it something that and I think at the time he was also in a place where he was sort of just like didn't really have direction, had all the drive in the world, but just was sort of, not
Like
really living his
floating,
life.
floating
Yeah.
around in a way,
Yep, coasting, with a lot of friends in
coasting.
town, was still has all the had, I mean, still one of the most driven people that I had ever met, and still to this day have ever met. But at any rate, I just latched onto that. And he's the baby of the family and I'm the oldest daughter too, so that dynamic was like
It's interesting.
that we've had to like unpack and like refigure out as we've gotten older. But it all sort of worked together in the beginning. Um, and then I went through a phase where I was just like, no, I'm a grown woman. You can't tell me what to do. And I'm this and that. And I'm partying and and I had to go through that, I do think. But
How did that end up working out? Like all the partying and stuff? Because like I know for me, I used to live in LA
mm,
and there's like a party nonstop.
yeah,
There's always a party to go to, and you could
yeah,
really get like wrapped up in that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
which I did, I did for a time, but then I realized,
Mm.
hey, wait a second, like these people don't care about you. They don't know who you
No.
are. They don't have your best intentions at the height of things. So you have
Yep.
to then take a step back and say, wait a second, it's almost like MC Hammer. When MC Hammer got big, all
Mm.
these people are around him, right? And then
Yeah.
he goes broke and then everyone's gone. I mean, that's got to be a terrible feeling, right?
Yeah. Yes. It's a really enticing thing, and it's a drug. The act of it itself is this drug feeling, because it's tapping into your dopamine, not to mention the, the substances and things that you might be partaking in. But in the beginning, I mean, like when I started college and I was there for 5 years, Lord, I
Oh,
felt like I
wow.
was never, I didn't think I was ever going to graduate, but I
It's
did.
a long time.
Yeah. Um, in college, I think that's the time to do it. I mean, obviously responsibly, not condoning like being reckless and careless with your life. But for me,
Like that's the time where you can
yeah,
explore and figure out,
yeah,
well, okay, who am I under all of these
exactly.
layers?
Yeah,
And, I mean, that might mean you're taking LSD. That might mean you're eating mushrooms. Like,
yep,
who knows? But you're trying to unpack who
yeah.
you are really at the core, right?
Yeah, and like to me it felt like cracking out of a little bit, like I was in this little shell and I had to, you know, be rebirthed like over and over and over and over and over again to like really figure out who I was. Um, but then when we moved to Nashville in like 2019,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and we started gigging, met so many people here.
That's a pretty
When we
expensive city, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I need them to calm down. I'm
How
like,
did
"Y'all."
you yeah, how did you deal with the price of living? It's kinda like, I lived
Mhm.
in LA for close to 10 years, and
So
when I had my first one-bedroom apartment right below Hollywood, it was $950 a month. That same apartment is probably worth 3,000 now, right?
Oh my god. That's like a
So
relic.
that's wild, right? So it's like I was living right below Hollywood, right below everything that's going on, and I'm only paying 950 a month. So I mean,
Jeez.
things have changed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's been, Nashville right now is sort of like there's houses divided all over the place as to like what is, and I feel like in a lot of cities that are growing and that are built on their tourism, when that becomes the focus of a city,
Right.
that's when the
Like
soul.
New Orleans, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Nashville's definitely not the first, won't be the last, not the only one. I mean, it's right now they're literally building a new stadium uh right beside Nissan Stadium because they want the Super Bowl, which I think is happening in 2030 or something. I can't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, and it's caused all this ruckus, amongst the locals that are just like, "Oh my god." That means that by that time, they're already like tearing old houses down, building tall and skinnies, that's what we call them, that are just cheap, but are just get as many people in here as possible, put a bunch of apartment buildings everywhere, and like, really, displace a lot of people that are here, and also
Right.
are gutting out a lot of like what makes Nashville Nashville in terms of like the common man, like the local
Yeah,
scene.
I mean that is happening. My sister lives in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Mm, yeah.
And that's happening there where the locals, they can no longer afford rent. You know,
Yeah.
it's forcing people into homelessness, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know, as Americans, we sort of stole their land and said, okay, you know, this is ours now, but
Yeah.
all those people are still there. So
Yeah.
it's a weird dynamic. That's all I'll say.
It is a weird dynamic, and it's what becomes prioritized. I think that's the question, because it's clearly right now, at least in Nashville, there's a whole scene that underneath all this of people that they're just like, no, like, one, for instance, like, they want to build a data center right by our zoo, the
Oh
Nashville
wow.
Zoo. And there was 500,000 plus people that signed this petition. Like, Brad Paisley, spoke out about it. Like, so many people spoke out about it. Like, showed up to the committees, like, were and voiced their opinions and their feelings about it. And that was a very, like, grassroots thing that the community came together around and said, no, we don't want a freaking data center by the zoo.
We don't want this.
Like,
Yeah.
put it somewhere else. Like, we're not, whatever. That's a whole conversation in and of
Like if
itself.
you're
But
gonna build it, fine, but don't put it next
yeah,
to the zoo.
not next to the zoo. And it's just like, that's just another example of, like, what is truly important to these people. I hate being like these people, but, like, it's like, why not, anyway, we could go on and on about it. But I do.
Think we might have lost her. She'll be back in a second, but
Yeah, she'll
yeah,
be
those
back.
the data center thing is interesting, man. They're
Data
putting them up
center
everywhere.
thing, yeah, I mean, they're coming up like they're popping up everywhere, and people are just like, I don't want this. But there's so much pushback from the corporations that are doing this that I almost feel like people have no control over that. So you kind of just have to go with the flow. And it's like, I really don't want this data center built next to this hospital or wherever it's being built. But the people that are building them, they truly don't care. They just want to be able to feed AI all this additional energy, or, whatever a data center actually does. To me, it's very negative. To me, it's very, very much taking from the people, which, to me is upsetting.
All right, there we go.
Yes.
We got you back. So yeah, we're just talking about the data centers a little bit, but yeah, to moving more into a positive direction now. Like, when did you realize that, like, this could actually be a career and, like, just get into your performances? When was your first, like, real major performance, and how did that feel?
Oh, wow. What do I consider my first major performance? One big performance for me was when I started in college. I was in this group called Sound Fusion, which essentially was a recruitment tool for the university, and it paid for my entire college
Wow.
career. Like, I graduated with no college debt, which is incredible.
That's rare.
It is so rare, and I didn't realize, I realize it now. I'm like, wow, that's actually really special. But
Oh yeah.
that was when I really started to branch out into the world. And I had a professor there who was the head of it, who really ingrained, like, technique and, professionalism, and nobody's a diva here, nobody's a star, that later on I'm like, well, okay, I can be a little bit of a diva now. Um, but
I could weave some of this in.
yes, but when I think I was still in college, but a huge some huge performances for me right at the tail end of college were, I got to sing background for Stevie Wonder,
Oh wow.
of all people,
That's
if you can believe
amazing.
it. Yeah, and also at the same gig, it was Ray Parker Jr. was also there who did Ghostbusters. And let me tell you, you have not heard Ghostbusters until you have played that live or been in the room when that thing is live. That thing is actually that song goes pretty freaking hard. Um, yeah, and
Yes.
I got to honor Tina Turner at the Memphis Music Hall of Fame ceremony. Um, I was a part of I honored Aretha Franklin at the Freedom Awards ceremony in Memphis. Like there were some
Oh,
really
wow.
cool, like just really cool things that
That's a heavyweight. Aretha Franklin.
heavyweight. And
Heavyweight.
this was, I mean, sadly, this was like a few months after she had passed, but I still felt like, God, I just felt the importance of it. And I love her voice so much. And obviously, I'm not unique in that. I mean, we all love Aretha Franklin. That's like saying you love pizza. It's like, well, yeah, we all love pizza.
Pretty much,
But
yeah.
yeah, but her voice is just so special. And you really, every time I hear her, I'm like, yeah, you're important for a reason. It's so
It's kinda
obvious.
like she figured it out. She figured out
She
kinda like
did.
Sarah Vaughan, like, she figured
Sarah
out
Vaughan.
what to do ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, she was just the damn truth. Her voice just was it just invoked that thing in you again. She had that thing that was like, my gift is stirring the spirit in you. Um, and I by no means am like comparing myself to Aretha Franklin at all, but I do but I resonated with her so much in terms of her musical abilities, um, and just her spirit, her
So,
soul.
like, it gave you influence, let's say that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. I actually one of the big I always tell this story, but one of the first real influential moments for me in my life was when I saw Kelly Clarkson sing "A Natural Woman" on American Idol. And I was like, "Who what song is that?" And then I realized it was Aretha Franklin. And then it made me realize who Carole King was, who wrote the song. And that I always say that because it is such a trifecta of a like, I mean, just like portal right to my heart, you know? In the beginning, I even sounded like Kelly Clarkson for a while. She was like my entry point to like,
I
singing,
mean,
not just
everyone's gotta have an entry point. You know,
yes.
everyone has to start somewhere, like me with the drums, like, I
Yeah.
started at age 14, and
Mm,
I'm 39 now, so it's been, 20
yeah.
plus years of playing, and what I can produce now is
Yeah.
because of all of the stuff I've taken in, all that music I've taken in over that 20 plus year period, it all
Yeah.
goes into my playing,
Mhm.
which, to me is incredible because it's like, wow, how can I possibly take all this influence in and perform it? But
Yeah,
that's basically what happens.
it is.
And, to me, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, it's like it's like the Big Bang. It's like that moment of like boom, and then your entire life from that moment on is influenced by that thing. And then you take in and you take in and you output, you create and it all just feeds itself. And yeah, that's what I mean, human beings are so insane if you really think about it. We are like the amalgamation of our life, of what's happened to us. And creatively, that how we express ourselves, that's like it shows what you are as a person. And that is one of the most important things that we do as people is create.
Absolutely. So yeah, you have a couple of big events coming up, or so you've done the
Yeah.
Nashville basement stage, and you also have JD Stage Bistro in Michigan coming up, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So Nashville Basement Stage is actually this organization here in town that champions independent artists. And
Oh
I
wow.
have become a recent, I don't even know what you call me, alum. That sounds silly, but I'm now an artist under the branch of Nashville Basement Stage. And this
Okay.
just means that I have a group of people that believe in me and that want to support me. And sometimes that means financially supporting me. It's all just patron run. So it's literally just a bunch of people who believe in independent music, going back to that community based
Wow.
thing. Um, and Jeff and Sherry, who created it, they're incredible people. But anyway, that's a recent development for me that I'm really excited about and really grateful for. But JD's state, what is it called?
JD's Stage Bistro. Oh, lost her
I
again.
think
But
we might have lost her.
yeah, until she gets back. So yeah, Brian, I know you've been doing a little bit of touring. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I'm
Oh,
Yeah.
so
there we
sorry,
go.
y'all.
There you are.
Yeah. So that
J-
place is actually Jeff Daniels' new passion project. Jeff Daniels, we
Okay.
know him, Dumb and Dumber. Not Jim Carrey, but Jeff
mhm.
Daniels. Insane. Such a crazy little opportunity to go up there and
Yeah.
play his new
How did you
spot.
get that opportunity?
So I just got a booking agent this past year, I
Oh
think,
wow.
and he just knows some people. I mean, that's really all it is. It's just like, do you know these people?
It's who you
And
know. Yeah,
yeah.
100%. It's who you know. Like out in LA, I had a meeting with a manager of a studio when I first went out there with this indie band I had.
Mm,
And pretty much we had the meeting. It went really well. He gave us a bunch
yeah.
of free stuff and then said, give me a shout, get back to me. And the thing is, my singer had throat issues, throat
Oh
problems.
no.
So we didn't get back to this guy for like 6 months. And by the
Mm.
time I got back to this manager guy, he wanted nothing to do with us. He just ghosted us. So it's
Oh,
always a sore moment for me because I feel like I've done a lot of music, I've done a lot of things, but I always wanted to get to that like upper echelon point of
I know.
okay, you made it. Okay. You could tell
Right.
people back home, you know what? I did it. I came out to LA. I did it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it didn't happen. And at some point, I had to leave. I
Yeah.
had to go back home with family. I'm in New York now, but it's all okay because it's like, everyone has their experience.
Hmm.
And that's important to have different
Yeah.
experiences as you're growing up. From my 20s, my most of my 20s was spent in Los Angeles, and I'm grateful for
Mm.
that because
Yeah.
I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, working class town. I would have never imagined I would live in a place like LA, but I was there for like 8, 9, 10 years. So
Mm.
you have to kind of take that step back and say, you know what? I've done a lot. I've
Yeah.
accomplished a lot, but it's okay that like the big thing didn't happen because for
Yeah.
that big thing to happen, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And I think most people don't really get to that stage where they could see it. And like I could see it basically,
I
but
know.
at the same time, it was out of range for me. So it's a sour moment in my
I
life
know.
that this did not work out, but I had a lot of great experiences in Los Angeles. I met a lot of
Hmm.
interesting people. It's all okay at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, you know, we put a lot of we give that like, oh, what could have been a lot of power, but there's also a lot of things that like, we have no idea what can happen when we get the thing that we think that we want. There's
That's the
like
problem. Yeah, like we think I had this moment where I was playing House of Blues in West Hollywood, and it was a reggae gig, and I got home from it, and I felt like someone had like beaten me to a pulp. I felt like all of my energy, all of the wind in me was knocked out. And
yeah,
I felt like, I've been working for this my whole life, and now it's here, and it's
yeah,
not what I thought it was. It's not what I thought it was. It's something completely
yeah.
different. And I was sort of, like soul crushed. I was crushed by that moment, and it made me realize, you know what? I'd be happier around family. So I moved back to
Mm,
New York, New York. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The music industry is such a it's a difficult place to be, really.
Yeah.
Um, I find myself wanting like a soft, simple life with a garden and a wraparound porch and a farm with chickens, you know? And
Yeah.
I think I can have those things, but there's also a sacrifice of um, access to the city maybe that I might have to give up. Or if I want to continue to be in the music industry, which I do, but just continuing down this path, again, and it's also this like dance and balancing of your ego because you do have to be like, no, I'm
Right.
the shit, but you also have to understand that you're also just another person on this planet and
That's
that,
that's the thing.
you,
Like you have all this competition
yeah.
where you're having to deal with that. Like, okay, this guy Brody, this guy Adam, he's got this great voice, this great album, and that's kind of like maybe pushing ahead of where you are. So you're
Yeah,
wondering to yourself, like, am I good enough? Can I really do
yeah,
this?
yeah,
And I think that's a sobering moment where we can
yeah,
look at it like, you know what, Billy Bob went and did this, but you know what? I went and did this thing over here. And that's just as important, but maybe people don't see it. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's
I
kind of a
know.
weird situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Making it is it's such an illusion too, because the amount of work that it actually takes to quote unquote make it, and let's be real, it's more so about looking like you make it. Because even when you do make it and you are in those rooms or are on those stages, there's still so much bullshit in that. And you're still, like, I mean, sound check is running behind and my ears aren't working and like, and they didn't, there's no water here at the gig. And we still in a van, that's like, almost out of gas, like it's still these very real, just practical things. Um, that you have to deal with. And that's, it's actually the music industry looks like it's very glamorous, but it's not at all,
Not at all. Yeah,
and
not at all.
our way of making a living at this is, at the end of the day, it's still work, regardless of where you're at, Um, and I've had to unpack that myself too, just figuring out like what success looks like for me and what do I really want in this life. And what I
See, that's
want
the
may
thing.
not line up.
Like you're saying, like, you get to that point. I got to that point where I was a session drummer. I'm playing in
Mhm.
West Hollywood. I'm playing a House of Blues, but there's something that didn't quite add up. There's something that was missing from the scenario. And I think
Yeah.
what was missing was, pure joy, pure happiness.
Mm,
It just was not there for whatever reason. I
yeah.
mean, the thing is with LA, it's like, okay, you're a session musician, you're a session drummer, you're playing with this person, playing with that person.
Mhm.
They don't care about you. They really
No.
don't care about you. You're just like, they look at you like a mercenary. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, he's the hired gun. Yes, I have to pay him to show up, but I really don't want to pay him. So it's a weird dynamic. That's what I'll
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's a lot to navigate.
So yeah, for my closing question, you kind of mentioned, yeah, it's not glamorous, but like, what does success really look like for you? Like, when will you say I've made it, or is there really no point where
Mm.
you say that like the journey always continues?
Yeah. Well, I think practically for me is just, being able to pay all my bills. I mean, that's really, and in some ways it's like I have, reached success in that. Um, I think, I do want to be able to, at this point, I'm just now started to dabble into like going out of Tennessee to play in places that I've never been, you know. In some ways, I mean, I have reached what it means to be successful for me, but I know at the end of the day, really, I want wherever I'm at in terms of my career, I want my body and mind and spirit to be able to maintain those things. Like that's what success looks like to me is that I am capable of not just doing the job, but I'm also taking care of myself in equal measure, whatever that looks like.
Right.
So, but but I want I love to be on the stage. I really just want to be on as many stages as possible and to play my music with people that get it and um that feel like I represent something that represents them.
Because I feel like you're putting everything into what you're doing. That's
Yeah.
that's the sense I get. You're really putting everything in, and to not get that back is devastating. But to
Yeah.
get it back in some ways where you're like, you know what, that person appreciated me, that crowd
Yeah.
appreciated me. Like that's what
Yeah.
really ends up mattering. Like, how can you connect with people at the end
Yeah.
of the day, right?
Yeah, truly, truly. And that's honestly, it's like we get so caught up in the business of it and like the glam and the glory that really down to its brass tacks is just like we're people doing this thing together. And even though I'm on stage and you're in a seat or you're standing up in front of me, I'm really no different. You're no different than me. Um, and this is just my offering to you right now in this moment. So that's all I can hope for.
Awesome.
100%.
Before we
Yeah.
get out of here, Brian, did you have any closing questions?
I guess I like to ask this every now and then. Okay, so if you could go back in time to when you were like high school age, like 14 or 15, what would you tell yourself that, you know what? Hey, look out for X, look out for Y. Like what would that look like for you if that were to happen?
Well, I would honestly tell myself it's not your fault. Like half the shit that you carry around is not yours to carry. Like that's just the bottom line truth for me, just person to person. But I think that I would say I would say spend more time I would say spend more time nurturing your voice, not just my singing voice, but like this voice, you know?
Right.
Um,
At like deeper level.
yeah, yeah, get that perspective. I did a session one time with George Massenberg, who is a huge, I mean, like literally his plugins are on Logic and shit. Like he's like, anyway, he
Next
told me one
level.
time, yeah, next level. And he did this thing with the University of Memphis that was like, mentoring thing of this session to show like this is how a session could run. And I was the artist that they used for this. And I asked him one time, I was like, what do you hear in my voice that, or like, is there something that I need to work on, like that you see in successful people? And he was
Right.
like, read this Time magazine or like New York Times something write up of Aretha Franklin. And I was like, "What?" I was expecting him to be like, "Yeah, you need to work on your vibrato and like all this," but he went for the thing that was just like, "No, there's this like deeper thing that you're not getting yet." And maybe I couldn't at the time, but I see what he meant by that now. And I think that's that thing, like what I'm talking about, which is like I would go back and be like, "Hey, that thing that George Massenberg's talking about, do that." And I think at the end of the day, I was,
Right.
so I, you know, who's to say, really,
You took your own advice.
I did. I did.
Yeah.
I'm so smart.
Well, yeah, amazing show. Before we get out of here, did you want to leave our audience with any closing thoughts on where's the best place for them to find you at?
Yeah, so Kyndle Wylde across the board. Kindle like the book, but with a Y.
Mm,
Wild with a Y as well, and an E. On Instagram, you can sign up for my newsletter. I send that out basically the first Tuesday of every month. And yeah, I have a brand new EP out right now. Brand new as in like it's my latest one. Self-titled, eponymous. The 5 songs that I put my heart and soul into,
mm.
and I hope they encourage you.
Oh yeah, where can they buy that at? Like Amazon?
I'm pretty sure you could probably buy it on Amazon. My website it's my shop is like not it's basically non-existent right now, so I'm kind of failing in that department. But you
It's all
can
right.
listen to it on Apple Music and on Spotify, and yeah, it's all there.
Awesome. So
Awesome.
KYNDLEWYLDE.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you. We'll have to get you back maybe after you do your performance out there in Detroit.
Absolutely. And listen, I know my lighting changed this entire time. It gradually got darker, but I hope y'all can still see me at the end of
All
this.
good. All good.
Like